Revealed, this grandma's heartwarming story of 5 life-changing secrets will touch your soul. In the quiet town of Easton, where golden fields stretch across the horizon and the setting sun casts long shadows on the well-worn porches, Grandma Mabel sat in her favorite chair. At 75, with soft gray hair framing her face and a heart full of stories, she was the matriarch of a family that had known its share of storms. For a decade, Mabel had been a widow, learning resilience after losing her brave World War II veteran husband. Now, she found herself faced with another storm, not one that ripped through homes, but a choice looming before her eldest grandson, Tyler, only 22, held a job offer that could change everything. A chance to flee the confines of Easton for the vibrant chaos of Chicago. The idea sent butterflies soaring through Mabel's chest, filling it with both hope and dread. Memories of her husband's struggles after the war clawed at her heart. How could she reconcile the call of the world with the loyalty she instilled in her family? She knew the weight of leaving home could crush a heart, and she feared for what that decision might do to Tyler. Just then, a rumble of thunder rolled across the sky. The peaceful evening darkened as ominous clouds gathered. It was a nagging reminder of the crises the townsfolk faced. A local factory had recently shut down, leaving many families in disarray. Mabel's heart tightened as she thought of those families, the exhaustion etched into their faces, the worry that gnawed at their hearts. And there she was, adrift between wanting Tyler to soar and wanting him to stay grounded with his roots. Each memory reminded her of the sacrifices made for love. As the storm approached, a fierce tornado tore through the town, uprooting lives and sending debris spiraling into the air. Neighbors who once kept to themselves rushed together, their shared struggles knitting them closer. Mabel watched, tears brimming in her eyes, as the spirit of community came alive. In the face of disaster, families joined forces, laughter mingled with tears over damaged fences and lost treasures. The lightning flashed, illuminating the resolve in their hearts. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the ensuing chaos, Mabel began sharing her 5 life-changing secrets with those who gathered in her home. Each story drew them closer. They took turns laughing and crying together, unraveling threads of their pasts while stitching new connections. In her heart, Mabel realized the secrets were less about advice and more about moments of vulnerability, connection, and strength. When the dust settled from both the storm and her memories, Tyler found himself at a dramatic crossroad. His heart was torn between dreams and loyalty, love and ambition. And just as he contemplated his fate, a confrontation with his father sparked the biggest question of all: what is success, really? Mabel settled back in her chair, the air thick with tension, laughter still echoing off the walls. She gazed toward the horizon, heart pounding at the weight of unspoken truths. What choice would Tyler ultimately make? Would he stay, rooted in family, or would he chase his dreams into the vast unknown? The answer hovered in the air, leaving hearts anxious and eager for what was to come. The storm had passed, but the echoes of its fury lingered in Easton. As the sun dipped below the horizon, its glow illuminated the remnants of the day's scattered branches, upturned flowerpots, and the unmistakable scent of fresh earth stirred by the winds. Mabel sat back in her chair, a fragile smile crossing her lips as she surveyed the crowd gathered in her home. They had shared stories of heartache and resilience, finding solace in each other's company. But now, amidst the lingering tension, she watched Tyler from the corner of her eye, feeling the weight of his decision like a physical presence in the room. The young man stood at the window, lost in thought, gazing out toward the empty fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. Mabel recalled him as a child, running through those very fields, chasing dreams crafted in innocence. It's ironic, she thought. Those fields that once felt so expansive now seem like a prison to him. Tyler, Mabel called gently, breaking the silence that surrounded him. He turned slowly, eyes clouded but filled with a flicker of determination. You know you can talk to me, right? About everything: a dream, a fear, or a question. He hesitated, taking a deep breath. I want to do something great, Grandma. Chicago is full of possibilities. But I can't shake this feeling of leaving everyone behind. It's like all this love is pulling me back while my dreams are pushing me forward. She felt the prick of tears threaten to spill over. He was at a crossroads, and her heart ached to guide him without tethering him. There's courage in both choices, Tyler. Staying here doesn't mean giving up. And leaving doesn't mean forgetting where you came from. Sometimes, you need to follow your heart to grow strong enough to return. The room was quiet, the weight of her words sank in. Neighbors looked on, listening intently, their own decisions weighing heavily in the air after the recent storm. Mabel felt connection all around her, hearts intertwining with every shared experience. Do you remember the time I told you about your grandfather? She continued, her voice soft. He was scared, too, leaving home for the war. But he did it for something larger than himself. He fought and returned because of love and because he believed in a better world. Tyler's expression lightened, the storm within him beginning to calm. So, it's not abandoning anyone if I choose to go? His question held uncertainty and hope, mirroring the faces of those around him. Not at all, love. Mabel smiled gently. It's about becoming your own person. You can carry us with you, no matter where life takes you. As that idea settled into every heart present, laughter broke through the somber notes, a neighbor cracking a joke about a lost garden gnome. But beneath that joy lingered the undertone of unspoken fear, the looming uncertainty of what awaited beyond their small town's borders. Just then, another rumble echoed through the air, a reminder that life was unpredictable, much like the storm that had just passed. In the faint distance, they could hear sirens wailing, a stark contrast to the warmth of their gathering. Stay and remain, or dare to leave and discover, Mabel thought, watching Tyler shift from foot to foot, wrestling with thoughts that echoed in the minds of so many. It was all so much more than dreams and ambitions. It was about family, love, and resilience. With her heart steadying, Mabel leaned forward, meeting Tyler's gaze once more. But you must promise me one thing, she urged. No matter where you go, you'll find a way to carry us with you. And come back, if only to share the stories you'll gather along the way. As Tyler nodded, the room filled with a sense of impending change. What choice would he finally make? And what stories awaited him beyond Easton and its comforting embrace? The air in Mabel's home buzzed with a mix of relief and anxiety. Tyler stood still, his gaze drifting back to the fields bathed in twilight, the horizon blurred where the earth kissed the sky. He felt a heaviness in his chest, a cocktail of emotions battling for dominance. Every laugh shared in the room mingled with the uncertainty that lay ahead of him. It was as if the walls themselves whispered encouragement and fear. Tyler, honey, can you help me with these chairs? Mabel's voice broke through his thoughts. The invitation snapped him back to reality. He turned, and a warm smile crept onto his face as Mabel's gentle presence brought him grounding. Helping her arrange the chairs seemed trivial, but it felt like a lifeline amid his tempestuous thoughts. As he moved the furniture, he noticed the faces of his neighbors, each one holding a story, a shared moment. Inspired, he asked, "Can I hear another story about Grandpa?" Mabel paused, her eyes lighting up. Of course. Your grandpa was quite the character. Let me think. She stood for a moment, lost in memory. Ah. The summer after he returned from the war, he decided to take up fishing. Not because he loved it, but because he knew I did. The room quieted, everyone drawn in. Mabel continued, he woke up early every morning, gathered all his supplies. But poor man, didn't he have a clue? He sat for hours, trying to cast a line with zero luck. He was so determined though, refusing to let me fish alone. A chuckle erupted from the crowd. Tyler felt warmth flooding his heart. That image of his grandfather on a little boat, struggling yet laughing, was everything he wanted to be: tenacious, full of life, unafraid to try. What happened? He urged, leaning in closer. Well, on the last fishing trip of the summer, he finally caught something, a boot. She paused, gesturing animatedly. But it didn't matter, because he finally understood. It wasn't about catching fish, it was about the memories we made on the lake together, talking about life and dreaming our dreams. The laughter from the room heightened, filling every corner. In that moment, Tyler realized something. He had always thought that leaving meant severing ties. But each memory, each story told here tonight, felt like a thread weaving them all together. Feeling the swell of emotion, he stepped closer to Mabel. "I want to be like him," he declared, resolve settling over him like a warm blanket. To go out there, not just to chase dreams, but to make memories. "I can do both." The gathering swelled with murmurs of agreement. Neighbors clapped him on the back or gave encouraging nods. With each gesture, the burden on his heart seemed to lighten. Mabel's eyes glistened, filled with pride and love. "That's the spirit, sweetheart." But as the night wore on, a thought crept in, uninvited. What if he failed? The insecurity tangled at the edges of his confidence, whispering doubts he struggled to silence. Just as Mabel noticed the flicker of fear cross his face, a loud crash rang outside, pulling everyone's attention to the window. Tyler instinctively stepped toward the sound, heart racing. The faint outline of a figure stumbled across the omnipresent darkness. The sirens grew closer, panic rising in the crowd as they exchanged concerned glances. "What in the world is happening?" someone murmured, the tension reeling back in. Tyler's pulse quickened. Whatever was unfolding outside felt bigger than him, stealing his breath. In a town where storms had just passed, he sensed another brewing, one he could not predict. The whisper of opportunity beckoned him louder than ever. Would he be ready to face the storms ahead both within and outside? As he stepped toward the door, determined to find out, the question hung thick in the air. Would he brave the unknown and discover his true potential? Tyler pushed the door open, the hinges creaking in protest as he stepped into the night. The cool air was a stark contrast to the warmth spilling from Mabel's home. He squinted, trying to make sense of the chaotic scene unfolding before him. Sirens wailed in the distance, cutting sharply through the tranquil sounds of crickets that a crowd had gathered at the edge of the yard, their faces painted with confusion and concern. Tyler's heart raced as he moved closer. In the center of the crowd, a young man lay sprawled on the ground, a flashlight beam dancing over his body. His clothes were torn, smeared with dirt, and Tyler's stomach tightened at the sight. "Is he okay?" Tyler asked, forcing his way through the throng. Panic was pooling in his gut, and he hated the feeling. A neighbor named Sarah looked up, her face pale. "I don't know, Tyler. He just came running out of the woods, screaming about something." Her voice trailed off, unable to finish. Tyler dropped to his knees beside the figure. "Hey, can you hear me?" He turned the man's face toward him, shaking his shoulder gently. The boy was barely conscious, murmuring incoherently. Symbols of his fear danced across his features. The vulnerability was palpable, striking a chord deep inside Tyler, and then came a distant crack, much like thunder. Tyler's attention snapped away from the boy. "What was that?" he asked, looking around. An unease settled over the gathered group. "Let's get him out of here," someone shouted, urgency breaking through the fog of fear. Several neighbors moved to help, lifting the young man gently. Tyler felt a spark urging him to join, to be part of something greater. But then doubt seeped back in. What if he messed up? The thought gripped him like ice. "No." The boy suddenly bolted upright, eyes wide with terror. "You don't understand. It's not safe. They're coming." The crowd gasped collectively, a wave of trepidation washing over them. Tyler felt the air thicken. "Who's coming?" he pressed, anxiety coiling tighter in his chest. But the boy fell back, eyes rolling as consciousness slipped away from him again. As they carried him toward Mabel's home, Tyler felt a flicker of resolve. This was the chaos he felt rising within himself, the uncontrolled storms echoing his insecurities. He wasn't just searching for dreams anymore. He was plunged into the heart of a real struggle, one that was challenging his perception of courage. Mabel appeared at the door, her expression shifting from worry to determination. "Bring him in," she commanded, and Tyler watched her step into action, her nurturing instincts kicking in. As the neighbors filed inside with the boy cradled between them, Tyler felt an overwhelming rush of responsibility. He glanced back toward the darkness, the brush that had become its own vast universe of worry. Could he stand against it? Was he brave enough to face whatever was lurking out there? The world felt heavy on his shoulders, yet there was a lightness, a reminder of those stories Mabel had shared, of his grandfather's persistence. Maybe the memories they made tonight could guide him through the uncertainty. The young man stirred again, mumbling in distress, and Tyler leaned over him. "Hey," he whispered. "You're safe now, you're with friends." But what if it wasn't just the boy who needed saving? What if the real challenge lay in how to confront the unknown, the fear cloaked in shadows? As the sirens continued to wail in the distance, Tyler felt the pulse of something new, an urgency to uncover the truth, to connect the past with the present as the storm gathered strength around them. With adrenaline coursing through him, he knew he had to act. If he wanted to discover his potential, he would have to brave the darkness beyond Mabel's porch. What would he find out there, and would he be ready to face it? Tyler took a deep breath, feeling the air fill his lungs like a spark igniting within. The ruckus inside Mabel's home spilled into the night, urgent whispers blending with the distant sirens. Every second felt like a countdown, propelling him forward into the unknown that lurked just beyond the reach of the porch light. "Tyler, come on." Mabel's voice cut through his thoughts. She knelt by the young man, her hands steady as she checked for any visible wounds. The surrounding neighbors fluttered like moths to a flame, eager to help but unsure of what to do. He felt a sudden pang of determination. This was his moment, an opportunity to step beyond the insecurities that usually tethered him. "I can help," he called out, trying to match Mabel's calm. The crowd shifted, glancing at him, and for a heartbeat, he felt their hope rest on his shoulders. The boy stirred again, fighting against the haze of unconsciousness. His eyes flickered open, wild and disoriented. It seemed like he recognized the faces around him, yet terror still gripped him. "They're coming," he gasped, his voice hoarse, barely above a whisper. "In the trees I saw them." "What did you see?" Tyler asked urgently, leaning closer. Desperation clawed at his chest. He needed answers not just for the crowd but for himself. The boy's eyes darted around as if searching for something that wouldn't let him go. "I don't want to, I can't talk about it." The boy shivered and turned away. Mabel placed a gentle hand on his shoulder, a motherly figure who knew how to coax secrets from frightened hearts. "Just take a breath," she urged, her voice soothing. "You're safe here. We'll figure this out together." Tyler felt the weight of the boy's fear grip him tighter. He thought about everything that had led him to this point, a life spent chasing fears, both personal and external. What would it take to face this darkness? To truly understand what this boy had experienced? As the night deepened, Tyler felt his resolve sharpening. He had waited too long to become the person he wanted to be. "When I was a kid," he began, his voice steady, "my grandfather used to tell me about facing the shadows, to never let fear dictate my path. I don't want to let fear win anymore." The boy turned back, studying Tyler's face. There was hesitation there, but also a glimmer of something. Maybe it was recognition, or maybe even trust. "Tell us what you saw," Tyler pressed softly. "We can help you, but we need to know what's out there." As the crowd leaned in closer, the boy took a shaky breath. "I saw glimmers. They moved between the trees deep in the woods. They weren't human. They're waiting for something or someone." The words hung in the thick air, sending chills down Tyler's spine. All of a sudden, the distance beyond the porch felt more foreboding, not just shadows, but a realm of uncertainty that could swallow them all whole. Tyler exchanged glances with Mabel, who nodded, her expression steely with determination. "We need to investigate." "No. You can't." The boy's protest came out as a rapid plea. "They'll know." The intensity crackled like electricity building in a storm overhead. Tyler felt his heart racing, a mixture of fear and the thrill of purpose. This was what he had craved, an adventure that could lead to answers, perhaps even redemption. "Then we'll be prepared," Tyler replied, resolve hardening in his chest. "We face it together." Could this night transform into something more than just confronting hidden fears? Would they discover a truth that connected the dots from past to present and beyond? As they turned toward the darkness, a profound question loomed. What awaited them in the woods, and would it change everything? Tyler took one last look at the boy, whose eyes were wide with fear. "We'll be careful," he assured him, though uncertainty gnawed at his insides. The shadows around them felt alive, breathing in anticipation. "What if we're not fast enough?" The boy whispered, his voice shaking. "What if they come for us?" Mabel squeezed the boy's shoulder gently. "Then we stand together," she said, her voice firm yet comforting. "Strength is in numbers. Remember that." The murmurs of the crowd faded into the background as Tyler took the first step down from the porch. Each footfall felt heavy with purpose, drawing him deeper into the unknown. Mabel followed closely, with the boy lagging behind. The air was thick and charged with tension, a palpable energy that hummed in his ears. A few neighbors hesitantly followed, drawn like bees to honey, forming an impromptu expedition. They clutched flashlights that flickered against the night, casting long, wavering beams that barely pierced the suffocating darkness. Tyler caught the gaze of one neighbor, an older woman whose features were lined with worry. He felt an unspoken bond form between them, a collective fear propelling them toward the tree-line. "Keep your eyes peeled," Tyler said as they entered the woods, the sound of twigs snapping underfoot echoing around them. "What exactly are we looking for?" A man whispered from behind him. His voice trembled as if he could barely hold back his own fear. "The glimmers," Tyler said, recalling the boy's vivid description. "We need to see them ourselves." They moved deeper into the forest, the moonlight filtering through the high branches, washing the ground in silver. A chill in the air made Tyler want to pull his jacket tighter. They stopped, and Mabel turned on her flashlight, illuminating the area around them. "Do you see anything?" she called softly, her voice cutting through the silence like a knife. Tyler strained his eyes against the veil of darkness. Just as doubt began to settle in his heart, a flicker caught his attention, a soft glint amongst the trees. "There." He pointed, excitement bubbling beneath his fear. The group followed the direction of his gaze, a ripple of whispers spreading like wildfire. The glimmer, a small orb of light, seemed to float just out of reach, moving slowly through the underbrush, beckoning them to follow. "Stay close," Tyler instructed as they edged forward, their lights dancing around the forest. As they moved closer, the orb flickered again, pulsing like a heartbeat. But then, something shifted. The air felt heavier. The previously comforting sounds of the woods stilled. The chirping of crickets faded into an unsettling silence. "What is that?" one of the neighbors murmured, eyes wide with trepidation. "Something's off," Tyler said, his heart racing. They stepped cautiously, each crunching leaf sounding like a war drum in the silence. The glimmer darted deeper into the trees, and Tyler felt an urge to follow, though fear clutched at him. "We can't turn back now. We need to know what this is." Suddenly, a rustling noise erupted from behind them, breaking their focus. A figure stumbled into view, a wild-eyed man with scratches across his arms, his clothes torn and dirty. "Run! They're coming!" he screamed, his voice echoing eerily through the trees. Tyler froze, urgency pulling at him, fear flooding his mind. That warning surged with adrenaline, igniting a sense of desperation. What had the boy seen? What had this man encountered? But before he could react, the orb flared brightly and shot through the trees, disappearing into the darkness. "Stay together," Mabel shouted, rallying the group, but Tyler's mind raced. "What's out there?" Tyler whispered to himself, knowing they were on the verge of discovering something monumental, yet terrified of what they may unleash. As the whistle of the wind grew stronger around them, questions loomed larger in Tyler's mind. What were they about to face? Would they truly be prepared for whatever awaited in the unforgiving night? And, most importantly, what if the boy's warning came too late? Tyler's heart raced as the man's warning echoed in his ears. "Stay together," he shouted again, more fiercely this time, his voice cut through the fear like a lifeline. Mabel's flashlight beam jittered as she turned toward him, and the flickering lights of their small group cast a peculiar dance of shadows that felt almost alive. "What do we do?" one neighbor stammered. Panic seeped into the air, coating everything in a thick layer of anxiety. "Focus on the glimmer," Tyler urged, trying to steady himself. "It's leading us somewhere. Maybe it's safe." With a collective breath, they resumed their pursuit of the light, the urgency in their footsteps growing more pronounced. The glimmer darted erratically, flitting from tree to tree, as if it was testing their resolve, daring them to follow. Suddenly, the atmosphere shifted again. A chill swept through the grove, wrapping around them like a dark shroud. The trees seemed to lean in closer, whispering secrets in the wind that Tyler couldn't understand. The wild-eyed man's words replayed in his mind, mingling with the instinctual fears curling in his stomach. "Do you hear that?" Mabel's voice quivered as she cast her light deeper into the shadows. The others nodded, sensing it too. A distant sound, like a growl, reverberated through the silence. It was the kind of sound that sent shivers down the spine, a warning of something lurking just beyond the glow of their flashlights. Tyler turned back to the younger boy, who clutched Mabel's arm, his wide eyes reflecting fear. "I can't go back," he said, and his voice had a tiny tremor that made Tyler's heart ache. "What if they get me?" Tyler knelt down, looking directly into those frightened eyes. "I promise you, we won't let anything happen. We're going to find out what that light is. And we'll keep moving forward together." Just then, the glimmer flared once more, pulsing with an inviting brightness before darting off again, more than a few strides ahead of them. "Let us go," Tyler said, gripping the boy's shoulder reassuringly as he stood back up. They needed to trust in the light, even as uncertainty loomed over them like a storm cloud. As they moved through the dark underbrush, the group pressed closer together. Each heartbeat, each rustling leaf, seemed magnified in the tense air. Tyler focused on the glimmer, its rhythm steady and hypnotic. The closer they got, the more it began to resemble a small, flickering flame. What could it possibly be? The shadows around them started to shift, revealing peculiar shapes, twisting in the corner of Tyler's eye. Was that a face? He blinked hard, trying to shake off the creeping dread. "Stay focused," he urged softly, but it didn't fully mask the tremor in his voice. Suddenly, the glimmer halted, hovering above a clearing that was bathed in a ghostly light. Tyler took a cautious step forward, the collective intake of breath behind him urging him on. And then, without warning, the glimmer exploded into a flurry of light, scattering brilliant sparks into the frigid night air. Tyler stumbled back, shielding his eyes from the radiance. "What the?" he muttered as the light began to swirl, forming a glowing figure that hovered just above the ground. It was an ethereal vision, translucent and beautiful, appearing both delicate and powerful. The crowd gasped, their fear momentarily displaced by awe. "Mabel," what Tyler began, but she merely shook her head, both terrified and amazed. "Maybe it's a guardian?" she whispered, but just as she spoke, shadows prowled back from the edges of the clearing. "Not just sparks." The wild-eyed man's voice broke through the shock, trembling, desperate. "Those aren't just glimmers." "They're what?" Tyler pressed, knowing they were hurtling toward a revelation that could change everything, but before the man could finish his thought, the ground trembled beneath their feet. The fluid form of light hovered above them, and all at once, the reality of what they faced became painfully clear. This was more than they bargained for. What had they stumbled into? Tyler felt a twist in his gut. What lay behind these glowing lights? And could they truly fight against what was coming? The glowing figure pulsated with an intensity that throbbed in Tyler's chest. It seemed to breathe life into the clearing, casting dancing shadows along the ground as if they were participants in an ancient ritual. Around him, the faces of his neighbors reflected a blend of hope and fear, their eyes wide and unblinking as they took in the impossible sight. "Something's happening," Mabel whispered, inching closer to Tyler. "This feels different." Before Tyler could respond, the ethereal form began to articulate itself. Flashes of memories, moments rich with emotion, laughter, sorrow, love whirled around the clearing, fragmented images that sparked recognition. He caught glimpses of his own childhood, the laughter of friends, the comfort of warm summer nights under starlit skies. Do you see that? One neighbor murmured, breaking the silence that had enveloped them. Is it trying to show us something? Maybe it's showing us what we've been missing, Tyler replied, feeling a swell of understanding creeping into his heart. The fear that had weighed heavily on him began to lift, replaced by a warmth that spread through his limbs as he watched the light swirl around them. The wild-eyed man stepped forward, his gaze locked on the apparition. It's not just a guardian, he sounded almost reverent. These lights are the memories of those lost. They're trying to guide us. Tyler felt a shiver race down his spine, the implications hanging in the air like ripe fruit, waiting to fall. But why? He whispered, glancing back at the boy who still clung tightly to Mabel's arm. What do they want from us? The light shimmered in response, intensifying with a sudden burst of clarity. It transformed into a figure, a woman, with soft features and eyes that sparkled like stars. Tyler recognized her immediately. It was his grandmother, who had passed years ago. Grandma? He breathed, taking an involuntary step closer, the others gasping softly behind him. Tyler, her voice enveloped him like a warm hug. You have the strength to face the darkness. Don't let fear chain you. Emotion welled in his chest as memories flooded back. Her laughter, her stories, the way she always believed in him. The words ignited an ember of courage. I miss you, he said, his voice shaky yet resolute. The glowing figure nodded, a mix of pride and sadness crossing her features. It's time for you to remember who you are. Every choice makes a difference. Suddenly, the shadows seemed to thicken around the edges of the clearing, creeping closer, almost eager to snuff out the light. Tyler's heart pounded in response. We can't let them take this away. He turned to his neighbors, their faces a blend of confusion and determination. We have to stand together. Whatever this darkness is, we can't let it consume us. The shadows hissed, expanding like a living creature, and Tyler felt that terror welling back up. Mabel stood strong beside him, gripping his arm as if it were a lifeline. We'll fight, she declared, her voice breaking through the mounting dread. Together, their neighbors echoed, the collective spirit rising in the face of the impending threat. As Tyler faced the darkness alongside them, he realized the power of their unity. They were not just individuals stumbling through a haunted grove, they were a community, bound by love and shared memories. They had more than fear, they had hope, rooted deep within their hearts. Then, the ground trembled again, but this time, it felt like a summons. We have to hold on to the light, Tyler called out, steeling himself against the approaching shadows. If we remember who we are, we can chase away the darkness. Just as the shadows lunged forward, enveloping the clearing, the spectral light of his grandmother flared brilliantly once more. Remember, she urged, her voice echoing in the chaos. Tyler took a deep breath, bracing himself. They couldn't turn back, not now. All at once, a collective resolve surged amongst them, lighting a fire in each heart. What if we're stronger than we think? He thought, a surge of fearlessness coursing through his veins. As the shadows clawed closer, Tyler firmly grasped Mabel's hand. The figure of his grandmother loomed above them, holding the circle of light against the approaching darkness. Was this the moment they defined their true strength? And would it be enough to push back the shadows threatening to swallow them whole? The shadows surged forward, thick and swirling like ink in water. They crashed against the glowing barrier, attempting to snuff out the warmth that Tyler and his neighbors had begun to cling to. He felt Mabel's grip tighten. Her nails dug into his hand, a spark of pain amidst the chaos. But her presence grounded him, reminding him he wasn't alone in this fight. Together, Tyler shouted, lifting his voice above the growing roar of the darkness. We can do this. With that, he looked at the faces surrounding him. There was fear etched deep into their expressions, but beneath that lay something stronger: determination. Parents, children, lifelong friends, they were all here, riding the waves of memories, standing shoulder to shoulder against a tide of despair. As the shadows rattled against the light, Tyler felt a strange surge of energy pulse through the air. It felt as though the spirit of his grandmother was entwined with the collective heart of the community, pushing against the darkness with sheer will. He remembered her laughter, her stories about bravery, how she had faced her own shadows and emerged unscathed. "Don't let go," he shouted, the words a promise not only to himself but to everyone standing beside him. The shadows screeched, a sound that reverberated through the clearing, causing the ground beneath them to vibrate. Yet, with each scream, Tyler felt himself digging deeper. "Think of your loved ones," he urged. "Think of all the stories yet to be told." One by one, he could see his neighbors closing their eyes, calling upon their own memories. Mabel whispered the name of her late sister, and Tyler saw a flicker of light around her. Old Mr. Fenton, who had lost his wife years ago, clutched his chest and let out a sob, a radiant glow bursting forth to combat the shadows. Suddenly, Tyler noticed something astonishing. The more they remembered and shared their grief and love, the more the spectral figure of his grandmother expanded, creating a dome of light that pushed against the encroaching darkness. The shadows shrieked again, pushing back harder, but with every pulse of light, the cries transformed into whispers of hope. "Do you feel that?" Mabel's voice carried an undercurrent of awe. "It's working." "Yes," Tyler exclaimed, exhilaration fueling his resolve. "We're becoming part of this light. We're not just fighting for ourselves, we're fighting for everyone we've lost." The darkness recoiled, as if sensing the significance of their unity. Tyler glanced towards the edge of the clearing and saw the shadows slacken, retreating momentarily. A breath of hope filled the air, but Tyler knew that wasn't enough. "We can't stop. We have to push harder." "More memories," someone shouted. Tyler didn't recognize the voice, but it didn't matter. They were all united now, energized by shared pain and hope. Memories began to spill forth, echoes of family gatherings, celebrations marked by laughter and warmth. Expressions of joy turned into radiant pathways of light that shot out from their hearts and danced around the clearing, intertwining above their heads like glistening stars. With newfound energy, Tyler directed his thoughts to his grandmother, concentrating on her words and love. "You're here with us, Grandma. Guide us." The illumination brightened, spilling forth vibrant colors, radiant tendrils reaching back into the darkness. The shadows writhed and hissed, trying to retaliate. "Hold on to it," Tyler urged, feeling the power of their bond swaying the tides of battle. As the last remnants of darkness clawed at the edges, something deep within Tyler stirred. He realized it was more than just a fight against fear, it was about embracing every facet of life. Little did he know, what he felt now was only the beginning. A crackling tension rippled through the air. There was something on the horizon, something that could either bury them or set them free. What's next? He thought, uncertain but emboldened. The air shimmered with energy, anticipation humming through the crowd. Could they really push through and conquer the darkness, or was there more to uncover in their shared history? Would this fight unlock truths they never saw coming? Tyler's heart raced as the answer loomed just out of reach, awaiting discovery. The clearing pulsed with light as shadows writhed beneath it, a fierce battle spilling out between fear and hope. Tyler stood firm, surrounded by neighbors, each face a testament to resilience, every heart a flickering flame against the advancing night. The memories they summoned danced in the air, filled with laughter from family gatherings, hands clasped in warm embraces, and love that never faltered through time. The whispers of joy shared ignited a courage unlike anything Tyler had ever known and resurrected his grandmother's spirit within the radiant dome of light above them. Together, he proclaimed, voice rising over the eerie howl of the shadows. "We carry each other's stories. That's what gives us strength." His words echoed, igniting a spark among the crowd as they recalled their treasured moments. Mabel's eyes sparkled with kindness as she called out, "Remember when we gathered by the fire last fall? We laughed until dawn." With a shared breath, each neighbor summoned up snippets of their lives, moments captured within their hearts. Old Mr. Fenton chimed in, his voice wavering yet strong. "And who could forget the pie baking contest? I'm still waiting for a rematch." Laughter bubbled through their ranks, and the shadows strained backward, instinctively recoiling from the increasing warmth. And the bright light swirling above them, the apparition of Tyler's grandmother beamed. "You each hold the power," she affirmed, her voice gentle yet full of authority. Together, you weave an insurmountable tapestry of love that even the darkness cannot overpower. Suddenly, a shadow lunged forth. It reached for Tyler, seeking to envelop him in hesitation. But he steeled himself, the whispers of memories swirling through him, grounding him. "You will not take us," he cried out, determination flooding his veins like fire. As if sensing the shift in energy, the crowd's resolve deepened. "Remember your dreams," someone shouted, reigniting a wave of hope. "Fight for what you love." The declaration took on a life of its own. Tyler felt the power surge through him, flowing into his neighbors, nurturing every flickering flame of hope. "We will light the way forward." With incredible force, the glimmer intensified, lighting up every crevice of the clearing, soaking the shadows in brilliance. It was as though a dam had broken, flooding the night with untamed brightness. Every spark danced with renewed energy, pushing the darkness further back, illuminating the woods, unveiling silhouettes of trees once drowned in fear. "What do we see?" Tyler called. "What lies beyond the veil?" His heart raced, anticipation thrumming in his chest. Would there be answers or merely more questions? The very core of their existence beckoned them, challenging them to dig deeper. Mabel squeezed his hand, a nod of encouragement that said she was with him, come what may. Together, she affirmed, and with that, a collective cry arose. The shadows paused, a momentary falter as the brightness blossomed, washing over them like a cleansing tide. Finally, with a crack like thunder, the shadows staggered back, retreating, their screams dissipating into the whispering wind. Tyler watched, breathless, as the darkness began to lift, revealing the forest around them once menacing now appeared mystical, bathed in ethereal light. All at once, the apparition transformed back into a myriad of memories, colorful and vibrant, swirling around like confetti in the sky. Each beat of applause resonated in Tyler's chest. They had survived that it wasn't a definitive end, nor a neatly tied conclusion. It was the pulse of life itself, an entwined tapestry of experiences connecting him to others in vibrant color. He felt lighter, freed almost, a door flung wide open to possibility. As the last remnants of darkness drew back, a deep sense of peace settled over the clearing. Tyler turned to his neighbors, who were gaping at what had just transpired, tears shining in their eyes. "We did it," he said, awe enveloping him. Mabel stepped forward, her smile radiant. "We will always find a way. Together, we can face anything." A warm breeze stirred the air, echoing with laughter from the past, promising new beginnings. As they embraced, unfolding the love and strength that flowed freely, it was clear, they were not just survivors, they were brave waves against life's turbulent tides. In the distance, dawn approached, a sunlit sky filled with soft pastel hues. Each person turned to the horizon, catching glimpses of renewed dreams and adventures waiting to unfold. Tyler felt that familiar flutter in his chest, the urge to discover just beyond the edge of what he once thought was possible, knowing that his roots remained deep in Easton, intertwined with love and stories that would always guide him home. This was the moment of promise, a chance to not only cherish each memory but to weave countless new ones, empowered by the shared resolve of family and community. Their hearts beat as one, and for the first time in ages, fear was replaced with a fierce radiance. As they turned toward home, laughter erupted among them. Tyler couldn't help but think of the stories yet to be shared, the lives yet to be touched, and just as they gathered to return home, the sun rose higher, bathing Easton in undeniable warmth, a reminder that was always present. Together, they could brave the storms and emerge stronger. Now, don't let this moment pass you by. You need to subscribe to the channel immediately to catch more heartwarming stories. This is the moment to show your support, so do me a favor and leave a like now to feed the algorithm. And please, comment below your thoughts and emotions about this ending. I'm dying to hear from you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Your support means everything. Let's spread the love and strength of this community far and wide.